right, good evening. Everybody got quiet. That was good. So before we had to do anything. Good evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. It's the May 21st, 2025 regular meeting of the Olentangy Local School District Board of Education. Mr. Jenkins, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Lester.
Here.
Dr. Daberco.
Here.
Dr. Wallach.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Ms. Schreiber.
Here.
All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I don't believe we have any amendments to the agenda. All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins, please call the roll.
Mr. Lester.
Yes.
Dr. Daberco.
Yes.
Dr. Wallach.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to the board president's report. I'll keep it brief. We have a lot of guests here that are probably looking forward to some of our presentations. But tomorrow, as some of you may have heard, is our last day of school, which is exciting. Woo!
Made it.
It is always really a testament to the work of a lot of people to make a school year success. And we have a lot of those people in the room today. We have so many more across the district. Obviously, students working hard, doing their best. But you have all of the teachers and staff and administrators and parents and siblings and everybody that goes into doing it. So we are so thankful for the Olentangy community that steps up to make every school year great. It's really, obviously last weekend was graduation, and you really get to see that at graduation. One of the true joys of being a board member is seeing this up close and personal, seeing the smiles on the faces, the secret handshakes that are going on between the graduates and the counselors or the teachers, the big hugs that come after, they walk off the stage. It really does bring home just the power of this community. And so I just want to thank everyone here, everyone in the district, for all the work they do to make the school year a success. Very, very briefly, we've talked a lot about the state budget. This continues to be a big area of focus for us. I know Mr. Meyer and Mr. Jenkins were down testifying at the State House the other day. The budget is now with the Senate. They continue to consider all of these issues. It's now in the Senate Finance Committee where they're going to have some additional hearings on it. As we have said all along, our focus is on making sure that we are really getting property tax relief for our community, and the best way to do that is to have increased state funds. Unfortunately, the House budget has a clawback provision that would make it very, very difficult for us to function effectively, given that it removes a lot of the school funding that we currently have. So we've been advocating against that. We encourage the entire community to really be educated on these issues, to look into it, to understand it, and to speak with their legislators about the importance of all this. So we'll continue to do that. Please keep looking at the webpage. It's got a lot of good information. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. With that, in terms of committee meetings, we had the Mental Health Committee meeting a week or so ago. It was a week ago. We had Mr. Stern, who is there and was talking with Dr. Barentz about some of the reorganization that's happening there, where those groups are going to be a little bit more aligned in terms of the services that they're able to provide, and expanding some of the work that we're having around the student experience and in addition the staff experience. It's going from the student well-being department to the well-being department, really focused on everybody in the community. So that's a positive thing. We had some really good discussion on that. Any other committee meetings? I don't think we've had any since the last meeting. Any OSBA updates?
Nothing major now, other than the search for the new CEO is about to be underway. So, but no formal updates at this time.
Okay, great. All right. Well, with that, we will head into our first presentation. These are always great. So I have a very fancy document here that I'm going to read aloud to start off our presentation, and then I know some other folks will have a few words that they want to say, but these are always so incredibly special for us as board members to be able to recognize people in our community that have given so much over the years. So I will read this resolution of commendation for Susan Wilson. Whereas Susan Wilson joined the Olentangy Local School District in April 2000 as an assistant principal at Wyandotte Run Elementary School, where she then proudly served as principal from 2002 to 2004. And whereas from 2004 to 2005, Mrs. Wilson continued her school leadership journey, serving as principal of the Legacy Olentangy Elementary School. And whereas in 2005, when the position of principal of the newly built Glen Oak Elementary School became available, the Olentangy Local School District turned to Susan Wilson for steadfast leadership, confident in her ability to cultivate a school community reflective of the district's mission to facilitate maximum learning for every student. And whereas, and again in 2011, the Olentangy Local School District called upon Mrs. Wilson to serve as the founding principal of Heritage Elementary School, an all-kindergarten-only building, then a year later seamlessly transitioned to a K-5 building, where her presence and selfless leadership have impacted the lives of the students, families, and staff who are fortunate enough to step foot in the building on a daily basis. And whereas for more than 4 decades, Mrs. Wilson dedicated countless hours as an educator, school leader, and thought partner, creating the educational foundation for thousands of students and guiding the career paths of colleagues and staff members alike. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Olentangy Local School District Board of Education and Superintendent Todd R. Meyer thank Mrs. Wilson for her passion and loyalty and her 25-year unwavering commitment to facilitating maximum learning for every student through her servant leadership, and wish her well in retirement from the Olentangy Local School District. So how about a round of applause?
Want to get a photo together? Perfect. All right, ready? There you go. One more, hold on, Dad. Got it.
I believe, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say a few words. First and foremost, thank you for your years of service. Obviously, like the resolution said, you have had a tremendous impact on thousands of students, families, and obviously many, many staff members over the course of your career and your time with us in Olentangy. So I have a few prepared statements here as well. So when we hire a new principal, we send out a survey to staff and say, okay, what are you looking for in the next principal? Well, it came through loud and clear, obviously, the impact that Ms. Wilson has had on Heritage Elementary. Thanks for turning that up. So here's just a few comments that we selected from the survey. Susan's leadership has made Heritage such a special place. We are students first, with a strong focus on what works with kids, building relationships and encouraging staff to take care of their own health, emotional, physical, familial, etc. So again, not just students, but staff, and making sure that our staff shows up present, right? And we're taking care of our staff to do the best job they can to educate our students. Another comment, our building is built around a sense of trust and teamwork. Susan leads by example and hires us with confidence in knowing we will get the job done. There is no micromanaging. She truly believes in all of us and lets us do our job, which in turn creates an environment where we can flourish and grow, all the while feeling supported by our principal. She always has our backs and her door is always open. So again, just creating that culture of trust and of encouragement with her staff, it just goes a long way. This is just phenomenal to read. So a few more. Micromanaging does not exist here. Trust and open communication do instead. When teachers say they need something, admin works to make it happen. And again, just establishing that trust in true leadership in leading your school community. I appreciate that. One more, and then I just have a few more comments. Said by another HES teacher, "The climate and culture at Heritage are the best I have ever experienced throughout my teaching career. And I firmly believe that the positive environment is largely due to the exemplary leadership of our administrators. Both Susan and Daniel create a culture of accountability, trust, and professionalism that empowers us as educators. They remain calm and composed during challenging situations, which not only reassures the staff, but also sets a positive example for our students." So again, you can see these attributes of leadership coming out in these statements. Susan embraces humor and joy and focuses on kids and relationships first. So we did a little digging here, Susan. So humor and joy, right? So to that end, so I understand, right? This is what we hear. Susan is a lover of the band The Drive-By Truckers, scratch-off lottery tickets, and lots of hugs. So let's stay with humor here. So it takes a sense of humor to enjoy birthday fun, like how the staff has celebrated her milestone birthdays, serenading her with a mariachi band for her 60th birthday, and with singing Pink Flamingo telegram for her 65th birthday. So thank you for being humorous with that. Susan is best known for her tagline of "It will be fine." This I really laughed at this one. This one's good. Doing what's best for kids and starting staff meetings with a funny story. So here is a funny story. So one notable story was being so proud that she got so many great photos of her granddaughter's dance recital, only to find out all her pictures were in fact a granddaughter's look-alike. Is that you? Yeah. Really? You can't make this. This is great. And also here, after retirement, she plans to volunteer and show up at Heritage as a school secretary substitute when possible. So we hope. So, just again, thank you for your tireless service to the students, the staff, and the families during your time in Olentangy. We appreciate it. I will say this, Susan is extremely intentional. She's a quiet leader. She builds people up and does a phenomenal job. And we say this all the time, if we look at somebody that we want to emulate as a principal, I mean, she's for sure at the top of the list. Thank you again for your service, and we want to wish you the best in the next chapter in retirement. And I think you want to say a few words?
Yes,
Yep.
please.
Yep.
I wrote them down because I knew I wouldn't be able to remember everything that I wanted to say. But good evening, members of the Board of Education, colleagues, family, friends, and guests. I'd like to share a few words, and I promise to keep it short, as I know how painful lengthy board meetings can be. I am deeply honored and humbled to receive this commendation today. Standing here, reflecting on 25 years as an elementary principal, I'm filled with gratitude for the people, the purpose, the countless memories that have defined this journey. I owe a special thank you to then Superintendent Bill Reimer, who took a chance on a 40-year-old from Indiana who couldn't even pronounce Olentangy correctly. When I first stepped into the role of principal, I knew it came with great responsibility, but I also knew it came with an even greater reward, the opportunity to shape the foundation of children's lives. In elementary school, we don't just teach reading, math, and science. We teach curiosity, purpose, kindness, and resilience. We help children believe in themselves and in their place in the world. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working alongside some of the most dedicated educators and staff anyone could ask for. You have inspired me daily with your commitment, your creativity, and your unwavering belief in what our students can achieve. To my fellow principals, I see you guys back there. Teachers, support staff, and district leaders, Todd, Jeff, Jack, Nancy, Monica, Tron, Michelle, Krista, Vince, thank you all for your partnership and your trust. I wouldn't be where I am today without that. To Terry Caton, a special shout out. Thank you for your countless hours of bouncing off ideas, venting, and sharing this passion of building leadership. After opening 2 buildings, the final leg of my journey was opening Heritage Elementary. I have to say this is my proudest moment in my 25 years. Opening Heritage as an all-day, everyday kindergarten building was the beginning of multiple proud moments. Even when you asked a kindergartner which bus they rode, and they respond, the yellow one. It certainly brought laughter to our purpose. The staff of Heritage, you guys are the best. This truly was a journey of building a place where everyone is heard, respectful relationships are formed, the ability to be able to admit when you're wrong, and moving forward and putting students first in every decision. Heritage is a special place, and I know that all of this work will continue. To the parents and families in our community, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your children's lives, for walking alongside us as partners, and for always reminding us of why we do what we do. And to the students, past and present, you are the heartbeat of every school day. Your laughter in the hallways, your resilience, your wide-eyed wonder, you are the reason I've loved every one of these 25 years. I'd also like to thank my own family, whose support has made all this possible. Thank you for understanding the late nights, the early mornings, and the emotional investment that comes with this role. My husband, Scott, who has listened to countless stories, both funny and frustrating. My daughter, Sarah, and my son, Lou, who at times I know were frustrated with my work. But I am proud to say they both are graduates of Olentangy High School. My grandchildren, Alex, Ruby, Silas, Ada, Kale, and Adley, who are probably looking forward to more time with Mom in her retirement. And finally, to the Board of Education and Superintendent Todd Meyer, thank you for this recognition, but more importantly, thank you for supporting our schools and for believing in the transformative power of education. Though much has changed over the years, technology, curriculum, even the world our students are growing up in, what hasn't changed is our shared commitment to giving every child the chance to thrive. I'm proud of what we've done together, and I know that this work will continue. Thank you. On that note, I hate to take a commendation and run, but we're going to go to dinner.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
You go with them?
Yeah, that's right. We're actually all going to dinner right now, so yeah, great. All right, well, just amazing, and we're going to turn now to Jack to talk about growth in school.
Thanks for doing that for Susan. She is truly a treasure, and I've loved working with her ever since I've been in Olentangy. She's, like Todd said, the model principal. So my purpose here is to discuss our current state of enrollment growth and building capacity. As a quick summary of where we've been recently, the community was first alerted to our challenges with enrollment growth and facility capacity concerns during our March 24 levy campaign. At that time, we proposed 3 elementary schools, 1 in 25 and 1 in 28, a middle school in 28 and a high school in 27 to meet the needs of 5,000 students over the coming 10 years. We also followed the levy failure with a work session in May of 24, a year ago, where we discussed 3 scenarios that were not all of the scenarios, but we presented 3 general scenarios that captured significantly different options for us. A 3 elementary school, 1 middle school, 1 high school model based on a fall 24 bond issue, scenarios based in 25 that would open, which is this year now, that would open elementary schools in 27 and 28 and 1 in and out year, a middle school in 29 and a high school in 29. And then we looked at options in 2026 and what that could look like with the earliest elementary opening in 28, the high school and middle school in the fall of 2030. So this isn't necessarily a new discussion for the board, but just updating us on where we are with those general parameters based on the needs that were first identified for that levy campaign. Right now, where we're at, we have some trailers at Indian Springs Elementary School. We also, last summer, redistricted students out of Scioto Ridge. Our Facilities Committee does annual enrollment projections, which they presented to the board in the fall of 2024 in October. And as an administrative practice, we begin forecasting enrollment projections weekly each January through the summer to track what our staffing needs are in each of our schools and to make sure we don't exceed enrollment capacity in any of our schools. So where that leaves us today, we have, at the elementary level, we have significant pressure points on the west side, the northwest side specifically. Indian Springs Elementary School is going to add another 900 students. It's going to be, over 900 students in 2027-28. Liberty Tree will be over 900 students the following year, is what our current enrollment projections show. When we looked at this at our work session is the top row of that chart, and where we are today is the bottom row. So one thing that we're seeing is that our elementary enrollment projections are lagging slightly from where we were forecasting them to be a year ago. We're still forecasted to be over 100% utilization across our elementary level. But in the right now, we're just at 99% utilization, and that'll reach 100% in 26, 27, 102, and 27, 28. And I highlighted 27, 28 just as to visually demonstrate that's the first year we could open a new school at this point, if the community decided to move forward with one. So you can see that the elementary enrollment continues to grow, and the pressures there on the northwest side most, not that it's not in other places as well.
Jack, just a quick question. Yep. With the 625 capacity is for our average elementary building, right? With the trailers at Indian Springs, what does that do to capacity?
So it's still, the trailers still stretch the overall capacity. However, they create, right now at Indian Springs, it's 4 extra classrooms. When we had them at Cheshire, previously it was 6 extra classrooms. The capacity is up to 860 of what is actually doable. But that has significant costs embedded in it. So I don't want to say that that's the capacity for normal operating procedures. That's adding an additional, librarian, additional support in different ways. But we've operated our schools with 860. Beyond that, we truly don't have any infrastructure to manage through the size of our cafeteria, through the number of elective course spaces, like the music room, the art room, things like that. So 860 with 6 modulars was what we feel is the absolute maximum capacity.
Just a quick comment, because we're talking about the physical structure.
Correct.
And I understand that's what we do a lot. I'm embarrassed to tell you that's the first time I met her tonight. How many administrators do we have in the district?
160.
So how is a principal going to know 900 children in his building? So this is not okay. And it's not. I'm not blaming you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm not lecturing, but and you've talked about a lot. We've got to figure out a way to get these buildings past our community to understand that nobody wants to send their kid to an elementary school where the principal does not know them for the purpose of knowing when they're not okay. So.
And I do want to point out that that 860 number is without preschool students in the building. That's when we're able to accomplish that. And not all of our schools have preschools in them right now. But as overall district enrollment grows, we'll have to continue to grow preschool space. And when there is preschool in a building, that would have to be taken into account. But at Cheshire last year, at Indian Springs this year, we're able to accommodate the preschool elsewhere.
It ends up using up every inch of available space. It takes away from, other support areas where like, gifted or other things can be broken out into. It impacts staff available, space and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So yes, you can have that many students in the building, but what is the experience?
Yeah, and to that point, at the State of the Schools this year, we did a forum where, we talked about the community needing to decide the kind of schools that they want in the future. We've done that very clearly in the past, and we have to continue to ask the community that question and all of the forums that we can get feedback from.
And I'm not blaming you, Dr. Freddie.
Oh,
I'm
I
not
didn't
saying-
take any blame,
I'm
don't
not
worry.
saying you caused this. It's just, at some point, we need to say that this is not okay, and it's more than just facilities, and I know you get that.
Yep. Go ahead.
I think it's important just to understand, so it's our responsibility to optimize the space we have.
Yes.
Not necessarily maximize, but optimize, right? And so when you optimize, there's some subjectivity to how you think about optimization, right? And to Mr. Jabberco's point, we have upwards of 2,000 students in high school in one principal, right? So I think, let's not get hung up on 900 kids in one administrator, because depending upon the grade and the size of the school, a lot of different things you can do to optimize the space and the experience. Let's focus on optimization.
Right. At the middle school, we've identified 950 as our optimal capacity there. Our pressure points are Berlin Middle and Hyatt's Middle School, bless you. Berlin's going to be upwards of 1,200 students in 2028, and Hyatt's in 2030. If the current projections hold. But and those current projections, again, these are based on the projections that we had in May of '24. And then in May of '25 is just where we are today. We haven't done an update of those projections at this point. That'll come this fall. But right now, we have, based on what we know of who we have here, we're trending higher in middle school, and you'll see it also at high school, than our current projections. So whereas at elementary school, we're lagging a little bit from what we thought we were going to be a year ago, where we thought we were going to be today, our high school and our middle school are trending higher. We're exceeding our forecasted enrollments at this point at the middle school
We
and high
looked
school.
at, and it may be too soon, but change in building permits, new permits issued, and then also, I think it makes sense that elementary will run under if new builds start to slow down and turnover, because if you get a 3% mortgage, you're not selling your house, right?
Yeah.
So your middle school and high school will tend to be higher and longer than when we were having a lot of turnover and people were.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is new builds are booming in terms of houses with kids, and existing homes have slowed down in terms of houses with kids. I think it has to do with, like you said, rates, and there's more incentives for buying the new home, I think. So, and that's where you see Hyatt's, Berlin, Liberty Tree, Indian Springs. If you think back to those heat maps we show about our enrollment, that's where the activity is right now in terms of new builds as well. So at the middle school, we're on our way to 108% utilization in 2030. And then at the high school, our pressure point is Berlin High School, 2,300 students in 2028, which would be higher than we ever had at our high point at Liberty before we opened Berlin High School. 2,700 students in 2030, 3,100 students in 2033. So again, you see the utilization numbers are trending higher than we expected a year ago at Berlin High School. And while I'm not showing the other high schools, the other high schools are maintaining about 2,000, 2,100 students at each of those schools throughout this time period. So not a lot of flexibility to redistrict students away from Berlin and move them into Olentangy, Orange, or Liberty in that sense.
In years past, when my understanding is Liberty got a little bit full, What was their numbers? When
About 2,200.
At its fullest?
At its fullest, yeah.
Yep.
So here they all are together, and then what I show, and just to jump ahead there at that last column to the right, our furthest out school-by-school projection is the 2034-35 school year. So just to show that these aren't blips, this is steady growth at each of these levels. We're on our way up to 121% at elementary school, 122 at middle, and 125 at the high schools.
Sort of to the point that we've had a couple of times is that if we wanted to open a new high school, say that the high school can manage at 100, 102, 105 or something like that, but if we were to start building one this fall, when would they open?
So that's what those highlighted cells are for,
Yeah.
those lighter blue. So if this fall or next spring, the community passed a bond issue to build those, if we start our design work now, we can get the middle school and high schools open in the fall of 2028 and the elementary open in the fall of 2027. That's the earliest possible at this point. And the window for that is November or May of '26.
So I guess, kind of given these trends that we're seeing or anticipating, does it rethink the scenarios that you presented in the beginning? Because in the beginning scenarios, it was elementary's first, then middle and high school. It feels like the pressure is more high school, middle. Would you flip that?
The pressure is, I would say, equally present at each of those levels for different reasons. So I think that I would say elementary and high school, if you want me to rank them, I would put them at 1A, and the middle school at 1B or even number 2 for that purpose. The challenge, besides just utilization that I'm showing here, is the solutions that we have without buildings are different solutions, or either different solutions than we've utilized before, or more prolific ways to utilize the same solutions that we've utilized before, by which I mean the redistricting gets really complicated, and we start to have very non-traditional Olentangy traditional boundary lines, with the concentration of 1,800 elementary students in the northwest corner and other west side elementaries not able to receive all of those. We start to have to push northwest kids to the center of the district, center kids to the southeast of the district. When you talk about Berlin High School, and that you already have overcrowded high schools, usually when we redistrict a high school, we're redistricting into a new build high school or an underutilized high school. We would be taking kids out of a 3,000 student Berlin High School and moving them into a 2,000 student Olentangy, 2,000 student Orange, 2,000 student Liberty, and making them, themselves 2,200 student high schools. So we have to be very conscious of the fact that, or our community needs to be conscious of the fact that that'll feel different. You're not being moved into a new school that's opening. You're being moved from an overcrowded school to a less overcrowded school.
Well, and I think
that exists.
Yeah, and I think it's important, especially because the last redistricting that we did in the face of the failed levy was smaller, right? It was 30 kids, something like that.
50 or
40 to
something,
50.
yeah.
I mean, right. But for this type of redistricting, we'd be talking much larger multiples to make it work, right? 100 kids here, 200, something like that.
It would depend over the length of time that we wanted to implement it. So what I try to show here is in each of the next 5 years, not next year, but starting the year after, so the way this reads is in fall of 2026, we will have to have redistricted the elementary. We would add a 4 to 6 classroom trailer at least one school to add to what exists at Indian Springs. Then in the fall of '27, we would need to redistrict more elementary students and high school students. Fall of '28, redistricting at each level. We would definitely need more trailers at an elementary level again, at a third elementary school at least. '29, a fourth elementary school adding trailers. Redistricting again. And these are scenarios where, I talked about Liberty Tree and Indian Springs being a pressure point. Part of that pressure is from those new builds that we were talking about. So as those students add to the district, we're going to have to redistrict new students who show up out of, say, I'll use the two of the principals who are here, because I think it's a likely scenario, out of Liberty Tree into Heritage, where we put the trailers at Heritage, and you get redistricted from Liberty Tree to trailers in Heritage, because Liberty Tree can't accommodate more students. Because Liberty Tree has the connector with Hyatt's Middle School that they currently use as their kind of trailer classrooms. There's 6 classrooms there. And then because of that, the Hyatt's growth, as it's happening, those students are going to have to come out of Hyatt's. Some would go to most likely Liberty Middle School, some would go most likely to Shanahan Middle School. And I can't tell you exactly how many kids into which schools, because we're not going to make those decisions until the year when we're making those decisions based on the actual numbers. Because at that point, we're actually influencing, the lives of those students as well. But that's what it looks like right now.
So the utilization numbers on 10, do they contemplate these actions or not?
They do not. Well, they do in that their utilization of the entire level, so all elementary schools and all, so yes, they do.
So they had.
This is
So if I
what
look at
happens.
28, 29 at 104 for elementary,
Yes,
that would assume that we put those trailers on.
correct.
Okay.
Because the utilization is all of the elementary students across all of the elementary schools, regardless of where they're assigned to.
And I think, going back to Mr. O'Brien's question, his original question, because of the lag now in elementary, it's not that we don't need the buildings, we're just pushing them out. So that's why I think you have 1 there in 27, 28, as opposed to 2.
Right, which, again, what we presented to the community in the fall, or in the spring of 2024, was we would need 3 elementaries over 10 years, and the numbers still justify that.
Right. It's just, it's pushed out a little bit.
I do want to be very clear about this, because I've gotten a number of questions from people in the community. Well, when are you building the next high school? That's got to be started building now, right? And no, right? We can't build that because the voters did not approve that. So when we say this is without new construction, that means we are unable to do construction unless the voters pass something.
Right.
So it's just important to know that, that happens. The other thing is, when we're talking about adding these trailers, free trailers, are we getting those, from someone free? Like, we have to pay a lot of money for those, right?
Yeah, Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to pick on you here, but in the forecast, not to spoil your presentation later, but we do account for some trailer costs. Can you talk about what that is roughly?
Initial cost for a 4 to 6 unit is going to be about $500,000, because you have to bring them in, set them up, put the skirting, run utilities. Then in subsequent years, the continuing lease is all that you have. But if we have to add unit after unit over time, I want to say we had a 5-year cumulative cost. I'll email everyone, let you know. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.8, $1.9 million over a 5-year period of time to phase in. I want to say, I know that's not on this model here, but we modeled phasing in between 16 and 20 classrooms.
And when we're looking at district finances, what document would show where that comes from?
The 5-year forecast.
So if we built a building, so in the 5-year forecast, we include things like teachers and stuff that kids need to learn. If we were building a building, where would that be shown?
Building a building, as far as for the construction costs of, that would be paid for out of our debt service fund as we repaid the debt for the securities that we sell to get the proceeds to build the building. So it's not the general fund.
Is it an overstep to say that those trailers are then competing for more teachers, and because the bond is kind of accounted for not differently? Is that a good way to say that?
It's a perfect way to say it. If we have to put operational costs like leases for trailers and other classroom space that isn't permanent, it's going to come out of the general fund, which absolutely competes with other operational needs.
have they put a contingency in the clawback to account for the fact that we're going to be building we're going to be renting oodles of trailers? Do they figure that into it?
There's nothing in the clawback itself. They have recognized in the clawback that schools can take part of what would otherwise be clawed back and dedicate it for specific purposes. We do that already in the general fund with how we plan and what we look for. But certainly if we were forced to account for it in slightly different ways, that's what we would do too.
Have we run a lease versus buy scenario on the modulars?
Can you even buy them? Would they sell them to us, Jeff? I mean, I know someone could.
We can buy them. The setup costs don't change, but we can buy them versus lease if they're for a long period of time.
Okay.
We own the ones at Oasis, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether trailers or new construction, you know, the cost inside the classroom is the same. Just, we have to keep that in mind. You still have to pay for the staff, the square footage to clean, the curricular materials. So whether it's a trailer outside an existing elementary school or a new elementary school, there are a lot of costs associated there as well that are going to happen one way or the other.
And we just talked about trailers for elementary school level, is that right?
These are all implying elementary trailers, yeah. The nature of the secondary schedule allows us a little more flexibility in that with the redistricting of the numbers we're seeing right now. But I will put a caveat that we still have a lot of work to do to figure out how to get 3,000 students working in a high school, if that's a model we want to choose, or even really 2,400 students working in a high school, because we just haven't been there before. So there could be a solution down the road where we say, okay, we're going to have to put some at
I found the document.
high school.
If we had planned for up to 22 classrooms, which if you divide that by 4 or 5, is basically going to give you that we would have 4 to 5 modular type units. For example, the one at Indian Springs right now is a 2 classroom.
4.
It's a 4?
4 classroom.
So if you did that, the cumulative cost in a 5-year period of time is about $1.8 million. So my memory was good. Now, that's assuming 22 classrooms. We may not hit 22 classrooms.
And again, so when we looked at the utilization numbers, when we added a new elementary, did we assume that the modulars went away? And we're adding net capacity, not gross capacity?
Yes.
Okay.
Although if we build, I mean, as you mentioned, there are needs for additional elementary schools down the line. If we were to build a new elementary, would the idea be that we get rid of all existing trailers, or we still have to maintain some?
If we build an elementary, I guess that would in part depend on what the outlook looks like. If there's another elementary a couple years out and we know where it's going to be, when we redistrict the committee. I've been on the committee long enough to know that they'll keep that in mind with the growing enrollment. If there's no solution there, they would approach it differently. So I would say that new construction is a safe way to avoid trailers, but in a growing district, trailers are always going to be something we'll have to be considering.
Right. I mean, we're just projecting growth for so long that this is going to be a continuing conversation for a while.
Yeah. I mean, to that point, we just opened Peach Blow and we have trailers, so.
Right.
Is it fair to say that trailers have a good function for temporary fluctuations in enrollment, while a permanent building is better for permanent growth that is not looking like it's going to go down for a few centuries?
I think that's a decision that we have to make. I think that I know that there are districts that operate permanently with trailers, and it's a decision that we have to make as a school board, as a community, collectively. As a parent, I would prefer my kids to be in a school without trailers. I know that our teachers would prefer to teach inside the school than in a trailer. We've heard that loud and clear.
Have any parents come to you and say, I know we're adding trailers, is it possible to sign up my child for the schools with the trailers? Is there a demand for that?
I haven't had that one, no. I think that's likely to not happen, too.
I mean, there's no running, like, they don't have bathrooms in them. You have to, if there are school safety issues, I mean, they're outside the building. So there are some real challenges with them.
Yep.
Can I ask one more question about the high school
Yep.
utilization? I know that they're very high numbers, looking even at 28, 29, assuming we could build one. That's the soonest we can build one. Does that
This
also
is-
take into account the fact that students might have things like early release, late start, CCP, like other things that take them off campus?
This number does not necessarily account for that, but those things help to alleviate at the beginning and the end of the school day, like a late start, a late arrival, or early release. But those students end up in the building in the middle of the day. This is what we saw back at Liberty High School when they were that large, that, first and second period were much more manageable than fifth and sixth period, for example.
Lunch.
So, and, this is, all of those factors play together, right? Because another thing is, we don't know what continued interest in CCP is going to be, what funding for CCP is going to be. Are we assuming students are still interested in the same programs that we have right now? Are there going to be new programs that show up that our community is going to want to add? All of this goes into making those decisions in terms of what kind of flexibility does the school offer is possible within the school environment.
Well, I will say, I mean, just from a higher education perspective, the state is really pushing toward getting people into the workforce sooner. There's a press for 3-year degrees. They're requiring every university to develop at least one, or at least that's coming up through some of those budget talks. There's a lot of talk about ways to expand CCP and some of those things. So that remains a very real discussion. I think the thing to keep in mind, though, is that, our schools play a big role in workforce development too, and that becomes a lot more challenging if you can't have students, that are able to access some of that stuff freely. So it becomes an issue, not just of what we as a school district want to do, but also what we as a state want to do, and some of those trade-offs.
Right. And, even when at the high school level with all of those options that allow students to maybe be at the high school not throughout the entirety of their day, you still have an 800-student auditorium to have class meeting in. You still have 5 starting positions on the basketball team. All of these are things, one late in the play, all of that has to be, something that we consider as we're deciding how big we want to run the schools. And I'll go back to the optimal utilization numbers that I shared. Like at the elementary level, that's 200 students. Our optimal utilization is already 200 students higher than the average elementary school in the state with the same number of grade levels. And that's a consistent feature of our middle schools and high schools as well. We run large, efficient schools as is.
And to your point with workforce development too, though, if we are trying to prepare our students with some of this stuff, they need specialized space for some of these programs, special types of computers, that sort of thing, different spaces that we need to be able to accommodate our students if we want them to be able to have those certifications and things like that upon graduation.
Right. That's right.
So, two questions, and Mr. Gordon might know this, and he, does school facilities, when we're looking at how we're going to finance these trailers or pay for them, does Ohio School Facilities folks, do they have a program to pay for those, or what are they paying for?
They do not have a program.
So they don't do trailers?
They do not.
Well, they don't do funding us for anything.
Are you waiving your second question?
For now.
Okay. Let the record reflect.
He's reserving his time.
That's right.
So that's the extent of the presentation. Again, the intent was just to show you where we're at with our utilization, our enrollment growth. We're still growing. We still have questions about how to fit all the kids into our schools. So enjoy that challenge, Board of Education. Thank you.
Love a good challenge. All right. Mr. Meyer.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fetty. Of course, growth remains one of our biggest challenges, and we're for sure excited to continue that discussion to see how we can best accommodate the growth. So with that, a few recognitions. The first one I wanted to highlight, seniors were invited back to their elementary schools for a final clap out and celebration. So this is catching on and becoming a tradition across our elementary schools. So you can see the number of students. So currently, that we know of, 13 elementary schools welcomed back seniors. So these are students who went through and walked through the halls of these elementary schools. So you can see some pictures. So and I know that we're sharing these on social media as well, but again, great for our seniors to go back to the elementary schools, and many of them started their journeys here in Olentangy. But, I just want to emphasize, because Mr. Lester mentioned graduation that we had just this past Sunday, but, when we talk to students really are grateful for the impact of many staff members throughout their journey in Olentangy, and speak highly of a lot of our elementary staff members too. So it's great that we do this, and they're able to go back, and many of their teachers are still there who get to see them before graduation. So there, of course, again, Mr. Lester mentioned, but there are some pictures. Just a great day, great celebration. So this past Sunday, 1,787 seniors actually walked across the stage on Sunday. So I know, Mr. O'Brien, your fourth graduate Sunday,
Fourth
right?
and final.
Fourth and final. Fourth and final.
Never say never.
Well, unless someone says some news for me.
Yeah, fourth and final.
We have Maureen. It's going to come out. Surprise! Yeah.
So congratulations, and to the rest of our board members. You have this to look forward to. And again, like I said at graduation, really enjoy the time that you have and enjoy every minute of it, because it does go fast.
I will say I've had a number of parents come up to me and talk about what a well-oiled machine the graduations are.
Yep.
Right. The SHOT does a great job. Kristen and her team does a great job. Get them in, get them out. Everybody's happy. It's
Actually.
well run. It's like planning 4 weddings on the same day.
And absolutely, and I was going to say congratulations to our communications team, because they do a phenomenal job organizing and executing, because it's not easy with that many people involved in a day, and also expand outside the communications department with some of our other staff members who are there all day and really help and enjoy it too, because again, families are extremely happy and proud of the accomplishments, and it's a big day for us in Olentangy. So we're 2025 it's in the books, and we're looking forward to 2026 moving forward. So before, that was graduation, but we still have 1 day of school left with students. So this week, of course, all of our schools across the district are celebrating the school year and doing many activities. So you can see some pictures there from first grade Camp Skeeter activities across the district. Tomorrow, actually, I'm going to hopefully spend most of my day in the buildings with some end of the year activities. So I'm praying for no rain tomorrow, so we'll see.
Well, Shanahan moved their activities indoors for 8th grade graduation, so I'll
Did
save
they?
you a seat if you want to
Okay.
come join me.
I'll see if that's on my schedule, if I can get over there, but yeah, looking forward to that. And again, it's just a great way to kind of wind down the school year and celebrate all of the wonderful things that have happened over the course of this school year. Do want to just highlight this, because we started this, I think, about five or 6 years ago. So the transportation registration is open. So in order for us to prepare for the 25-26 school year, we're asking families to opt in or out of transportation by June 19th. And this really helps give the transportation department a lot of data when they're building their routes for next year. So it allows us to, like it says up there, to optimize our resources to be as efficient as possible. You know, currently, I know, Laura, you're here, but we're transporting well over 11,000 students, correct? On a daily basis, and you know, it's just a very complex operation, and again, for the most part, we deliver a great service to and from school, and transportation department does a great job throughout the year. Not without challenges, but they have a great mindset of listening to feedback, and we can always get better, and for sure we want to do that in that department where we can. Superintendent action items. We have administrative employment, 2 recommendations. Julia Barnhouse, she's currently assistant principal at Orange Middle School, so getting promoted to assistant director of transportation. So she is excited to get into the transportation world. So we're excited for her to join the transportation team. And then Annalise Kraus, who is currently a 4th grade teacher at Glen Oak Elementary, is being recommended as the new assistant principal at Heritage Elementary. That's to take the place of Mr. Short, who was promoted to principal. There he is. He's still here. Good. So, sort of big shoes to fill, right? You're ready, right? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we talked about Mr. Short, but the staff's excited that he's going to take over as principal and continue on excellent traditions there at Heritage. We have a few retirements up there, administrative. You can see the administrative retirements. Miss Baker's retiring from Berkshire Middle School. Dan Ramey as a maintenance supervisor. Diana McKenna and Dana Yoakum. So Diana at Walnut Creek. Dana is currently a guidance counselor at Berlin High School. And then classified retirements as well, Laura, Shelley, Judy, and Sally. So as always, want to thank them for their years of service to Olentangy students and families. So 8 retirements, 150 years of service from the 8 individuals there. So again, we talk about it all the time, but we have great people in the organization who show up to work every day to care for our students, and want to wish them the best in their retirement.
Would we anticipate kind of more retirements in the next couple of years because of the STRS change from 35 to 32 years?
Yeah, so that's what we're seeing, and they dropped it again this year. So we are, like, this is the most that I can remember. So it's a trend that's this year, and we think it will be a trend over the next couple of years, yes. Also, tonight, we have a couple of discussion items. So Dr. Blackley and Mr. Smith will discuss changes in the student handbook. So we're going to ask the board to approve those for the 25-26 school year. We do have, I believe, 1 or 2 juniors for early graduation to be recommended for tonight. Recommend approval of a student club, which is HOSA at Orange High School, and then business management and facility items. Mr. Gordon will also discuss our facility rental pricing and extension of recommend approval of a 1-year contract with OYAA. So those will be discussion items. And then things to come. Last day of school, Thursday, May 22nd. And again, a reminder, 2-hour early release for the elementary schools. So kids will be home, elementary students will be home early tomorrow. Teacher work day, Friday, May 23rd. Think Tank, we're excited. Again, I don't know if this may be what year is this for Think Tank? 10, year 10 for Think Tank. So again, it's an opportunity. Obviously, school's over, but for teachers to sign up for professional development right after school gets out. The curriculum department always does a wonderful job with that. And then 4th quarter grades available Friday, May 30th, and then we'll be right back here Thursday, June 12th at 6:30.
Great. Any questions? All right, good. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Mr. Jenkins.
Good evening, board members. Pretty straightforward agenda items for me this evening. These will be as per usual. I'll ask that they would be approved as one single consent calendar. The items that will be on will be the second reading and final adoption of the 5-year forecast, the May 8th board meeting minutes, the noted donations. Again, we're always very fortuitous as a district that we have such supportive booster clubs, the April 2025 monthly financial report, and then the fiscal year 2025 updated appropriations. That is all that I have, unless there are detailed questions that you have for me.
It's your best report so far this year. That's great.
And I do not have anyone, excuse me, who submitted anything for public participation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. All right, we will then move into our first discussion item, Dr. Blackley and Mr. Smith, to talk about the student handbooks.
Good evening, board members. Today, Trond and I are going to share some of the proposed student handbooks, the updates and some rationale for those, and ask for your approval on those. First, we have some technical changes. Dawn Geldner actually was her idea, and it made a lot of sense. We had in the past had an elementary, a middle, a high, and a preschool handbook. And I think after this year of all of the changes we need to make due to legislation, and making sure that our handbooks at each level remained compliant, we have decided to combine all of our handbooks into one Olentangy student handbook, and there's addendums on the handbook for specific levels. The preschool handbook remains separate, and then we also did make some improvements to enhance accessibility for individuals with impairments. Additionally, we did some procedural changes. In attendance, we added that we will include email to notify parents. We're also including the county school attendance officer in intervention planning. We removed the out-of-school suspension as a consequence for students with excessive unexcused absences who finally attend school, right? It feels a little contradictory. We get them there, and we suspend them out. So we removed that. And we also did do the addition of a requirement of good academic standing for approval of alternate learning experiences or student vacation days. And then lastly, Dr. Sander, as she was leading our course guide planning and revisions, we realized when we were cross-referencing there were some things that were in our handbooks that didn't align to that course guide, so we went through and made those alignments. Of course, I have 2 slides of legislative updates and recommendations, as so many things have been happening. Of course, our first one is House Bill 214, inexcused absences. So the highlighted in blue words are actually the sections of the handbook. So in excused absences, we added up to 3 religious expression days. In the Code of Conduct, House Bill 206 indicated that we needed to put in there up to 180 days of a possible duration of expulsion of up to 180 days for actions that pose imminent and severe endangerment to health and safety. We also, under legal guidance, we used the Tinkered standard, was used to replace distracts with disrupts in the following statement regarding dress code. So no article of clothing shall be worn that substantially disrupts for the educational process. And lastly, shoulder straps as a requirement in dress code was removed because it can legally be considered a female-only rule, because boys don't typically wear shirts with shoulder straps. And then the last bit of legislative updates in our hazing, harassment, intimidation, bullying, and sexual harassment section, we streamlined it to make sure that we included all types of harassment. Additionally, in Senate Bill 104, we needed to make sure that in our College Credit Plus section that we had application deadlines that align to to that Senate bill. Also, in technology use, Senate Bill 29, information indicated that we needed to include notification of general monitoring, so that was added. Additionally, House Bill 8 talks about parents needing to be notified of health services and given an option to withhold consent, so that was added to the health services section. And finally, we changed some terminology in health regulations. House Bill 70 has directed us to change authorized drugs to prescription and over-the-counter drugs. There you go, Mr. Smith, you're up next.
Thank you, Dr. Blackley. Members of the board, good evening. I just want to start by saying what an honor it is to work with Susan Wilson. She's an incredible educator and an even better human being. So that was a really nice way to start this evening. And I know Mr. Short, they are in very capable hands with Mr. Short moving forward. But that was a great start to tonight. So I have just a few changes to submit to you from the athletic handbook. First, one technical change we have, the individual coaches rules section was changed to reflect that those rules shall be provided to players, parents, and athletic directors rather than should be provided. We have three changes or recommendations on advice of counsel. Dr. Blackley just also referenced the hazing, harassment, intimidation. We have similar language in the athletic handbook. So we just took those changes that were made in the student handbook and made sure that the language in the athletic handbook also aligned with what we have in there. The right to appeal suspension section's been changed to communication regarding suspension, and that allows us to align with board policies 2431 and 5610.05. Both of those policies state that participation in sports is a privilege, not a right, and that students may be prohibited from participation without further notice, hearing, and/or appeal rights. So we wanted to make sure and align language with policy. And then finally, a sentence was added in the concussions section to reflect that regardless of any written medical clearance, the district reserves the right to deny the athlete's return to play when in their discretion it is in the best interest of the student athlete. Those are the changes that we have. Any questions?
Any questions?
Makes sense.
I will just say, I think that the dress code changes are overdue. I'm glad that we're making them. This is actually something that I know when we moved into the district, I was a little confused by originally. And my daughter was actually on like a principal advisory and made that her whole like thing to the principal that was a little concerned about that. So I'm glad that we looked at that. I'm glad that we're doing that and we're using more appropriate language. I think the way it was phrased before is a little problematic, so.
Okay.
That's,
Thank you.
okay, Mr. Gordon, facility use fees.
Yes, we have on the agenda tonight to approve an update to the facility use fee schedule, as well as the OIA contract. The facility use costs, we've increased those. I presented a couple months ago on utility cost increases we're expecting there, as well as other costs for things like paper products and restrooms and other costs we have in the district. Then the OIA contract is on. While we have contracts for all other facility users, the OIA covers the breadth of the district from gyms to baseball, softball fields, practice fields. They're just the bigger users of the facilities, and that's why we bring this contract to the board. This is a one-year contract for OIA, and the biggest change you'll see in there is instead of mirroring the rates, mirroring the facility use fee, or mirroring that in the contract, we've pointed the contract back to the facility use schedule, so that even if we bring this back next year and go to a multi-year contract, we still would have the ability to raise the facility use fees in the middle of the contract. So it just points back to facility use fee schedule. So we raise the fee schedule, then all renters, including OIA, their prices would go up as the schedule goes up. So it gives us more flexibility as we continue to see costs increase and big jumps year to year on utilities. We can go back to a longer contract without locking ourselves into something that would be priced out of pretty quickly. So, any questions?
questions there? All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Gordon.
Thank you.
All right, so we will now move into our board consent action items. We have 4 items here that something we get into every year as we looked at the salary increases for our various administrative staff. So we have 4 items here. Recommend approval of a salary increase for the treasurer as employed under a contract with the Board of Education pursuant to Revised Code 331322 for a 2.5% increase for the 25-26 school year. The second item, recommend approval of a salary increase for district administrators who are employed under a contract with the board under 331902, also for the 25-26 school year, also at 2.5%. Third, approval of a salary increase for non-union classified employees who are employed under a contract with the board pursuant to 3319.081 for 25-26, again, also 2.5%. And recommend approval of a salary increase for those classified food service workers who are employed by the board under 3319.081, again, for 25-26, 2.5%. These are being presented as a single slate of board consent action items unless anyone would like to pull one of those out separately. Would anyone like to pull any out separately? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve these as a single slate of consent action items?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins?
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes. All right, Mr. Jenkins, please present the treasurer consent action items.
Board members, as noted in my presentation, all of tonight's action items will be presented to be adopted with one single motion and vote. But those items in order are item A, second reading and approval of the 5-year forecast. Item B, approval of the minutes from May 8th. Item C, approval of the noted donations. Item D, acceptance of the monthly financials for the month of April. And then item E, the updated appropriations for fiscal year 2025. Again, as noted, I am presenting these and asking you to adopt them as one single motion and action item unless a particular item needs to be pulled out, discussed, and voted upon separately.
Would anyone like to discuss any of these separately? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve them as a single slate of consent action items?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins?
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Meyer, the superintendent consent action items.
Thank you, Mr. Lester. Board members, I recommend approval of the following superintendent consent action items, A through I. And then specifically, I want to mention A, B, and D. You'll see contract renewals for administrators, certified, and classified staff. So this is the board meeting time of year where we do contract recommendations and renewals in those classifications. So with that said, A, specific human resource items administrative, B, specific human resource items certified staff, C, specific human resource items supplementals, D, specific human resource items classified, E, specific human resource items classified substitutes, F, approval of the 25-26 student handbooks, G, approve students for early graduation. H, approve a student club, and again, that's HOSA, which is a health organization, or health student club at Orange High School. And then the business management and facility items, again, which reflect the facility use, rental use costs, and OYAA contract, and practical transportation. I'm asking you to approve these items by one single action and vote unless you'd like to discuss any of these items separately.
All right, would anyone like to discuss any of these separately? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve them as a single slate of consent action items?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins?
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
All right, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Mr. Jenkins?
Too fast.
The crowd's growing restless, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Mr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, we are
Present.
adjourned.